I want to, if I can, I want to go into somewhat of what is called the hard problem of consciousness. The This has been discussed on things like a channel called Lenny Bound, where there's a video up there which talks about which is a discussion with Ned Block. He's discussing whether consciousness is an illusion or if it exists and all this stuff. And I don't want to really talk about that, but he gives a I'm talking about that because he gives a really good description of what the hard problem of consciousness is and what he calls the harder problem, or what is called the explanatory gap. And Fred has also made a video or two about this also, and I'll leave those videos in the description below, as these are kind of good things to think about. Now, the hard problem of consciousness here, what I'm talking about, it is now Fred, he says that basically all we are is we're meat. We're made up of flesh, and we're made up of neurons, and we're made up of all these things. Our mind is made up of brain, mind made up of neurons, and all this stuff that, makes us have thoughts to a degree. And the hard problem of consciousness is how am I having experience A and not having experience B or experience C, or having no experience at all? How am I having one experience as opposed to another, or having no experience? I like Fred's discussion. I like how Fred says that we're basically just meat. Us people, we're just meat. I like that. Mostly because we are meat. We're just meat, and then it's a good thing to think about. How does meat think? How am I having one experience rather than no experience, or another experience? How is this occurring? Now, as a theist, one who believes in God, I'm gonna say why I believe in God again. If you have not heard this before, which if you might have heard this before already, but this is because I have strong conviction of this. I've had direct and indirect experience which strongly makes me feel like there is a God, which is why I strongly believe there is one. Now, this still means I don't know things. I don't know anything about anything other than my own experiences and thoughts, but now this whole my theist beliefs matter here because my answer, which a lot of people are going to feel that is debatable, my answer to the question is that we're not just a big pile of meat. I don't think that we're just made of meat. I don't think that anything that is sentient and thinks, I don't think that nothing that is sentient, nothing that thinks, I don't think is just meat, just physical things. Fred seems to be a physicalist with respect to the mind-body problem, but we're not just meat, I don't think. There's a spiritual component to each sentient being, even animals, even if I can use this cat here. This cat has a soul of some sort. Even though a lot might not happen with that soul, but anything that is sentient is not made of just meat. All right. I was at the bookstore, and what I was reading here was, or what my mother was reading. She was reading this book which was talking about how this guy had a son who apparently died and came back to life, and had no real religious belief, no religious ideology or anything. So, or he didn't really know a whole lot about what the Bible says or anything. But he comes back and describes everything that parallels heaven. He describes it. He describes that he was in what is thought of as heaven. He describes this, and then he describes coming back. That to me is just one of many reasons why we're not just meat. And I mean, and why I think that whenever someone dies, their soul, their spirit does not die with them. The soul or spirit goes from one spatial location to a place that is basically non-spatial, or a place that is spatial still. And if you're a theist, I think you can understand what I'm saying when I say there's a spatial place and then there's a non-spatial place. Unless some of you think is hell as, unless some of you think of hell as non-spatial. Even though it kind of is, but that's a whole nother debate here. But I think this is a suit. It's a suit. It's a way for me to be manifested in space and time. It's a way for me to have spatiotemporal location. It's nothing more than that. All this will die. We're all gonna die. Yeah, all this will die. But I can guarantee you that your consciousness, as it is your soul, your spirit, will not die. It will go elsewhere. But that would be a good answer, I think, to the hard problem of consciousness. Because that means that there's something governing this meat. If there's a soul inside this meat, there's a spirit here, then there's a reason why I'm sentient, why I'm becoming aware of this cat that's being really annoying right now. There's a reason why I'm focused on it. I can govern that. I can govern, and then I can immediately become aware of the fan that's spinning in the air. And then I can come back to this cat who's being really, really annoying, and I can go back to the fan. I can go back and forth because I can choose and I can govern what I'm consciously aware of. Now, we're conscious of most things, but awareness is a different aspect. Again, if I can choose to go back from this cat to this fan, back to this cat, back to the fan. If I can direct consciousness from one to the other, back to the camera, that shows me that even without the whole theist standpoint on this, that shows me that the physicalist point is kind of difficult to, it doesn't really work for me. If I can govern as a mind, just think of me as a mind. If I can govern as a mind, where I'm directing my awareness to, that shows me that there has to be something governing this being, this meat, manifested in spatial-temporal location. But that's my thoughts on it. then the harder problem is how can I know that you are conscious? How can I, if we're looking face to face, how can I be aware as a conscious being? How can I be aware that you are a conscious being? And I don't think that this is a harder problem. This I like how Ned Block says that this is a harder problem of consciousness, because I think as an idealist myself, and as someone who believes that, and someone who's skeptical about everything, I think we're reduced to animism, which is belief that what we think of as inanimate objects can be conscious beings without our knowledge of that. This fan could be conscious. These things could be conscious. I have no way of knowing that. This cat could be conscious. And I think it is, but how do I know? It could be just an object. Now, I'm not... Now, going back to the hard problem of consciousness, or the explanatory gap, I'm not saying, by my response to it, I'm not saying that I totally solved it and then it's, the problem's over. You can say whatever you want. You can say whatever you want in the comments, below. You can say that my response is inadequate. Now, I'm not trying to claim that this is no longer a problem. This is, now I don't think that we're ever going to solve the harder problem. I'm never going to show why that fan is conscious and that cat is not. I'm never going to be able to prove that. I mean, that you can't either. But my response to the hard problem of consciousness, this is just because one argument of the whole argument of physicalism does not work for me. Because if you're a physicalist, that means you think that the whole ontology of the human self is reduced down to physical things, and that the soul is not really a spiritual soul. It's a part of your mind. It's just a part of your mind that's all flesh and bones and all that stuff, neurons and all that. Now that pertains to the hard problem of consciousness, is because this means that you can't believe that there's a soul in you, and if you can't believe there's a soul in you, then the whole hard problem of consciousness becomes harder. But if you're a substance dualist, by saying that there's one part physical, there's one part spiritual, or something like that, then you can say that there's one part that governs the other. That's what you can say. But now I'm not claiming to feel like I've solved any of this, but these are just my thoughts. So if you have any problems with that, then please tell me.